I had an article, but your article is way better. This is The Verge.
Yes.
Nintendo Switch Lite FCC filings confirm a smaller battery, new processor, and Odin fixation. Wait, smaller battery? Oh, this is Switch Lite.
Oh, yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, no, it's the Switch Lite.
But they also talk about the new revision in this, right?
I think so.
All right, well, let's read the article.
Yeah.
The new Switch Lite and the slightly improved Nintendo Switch have each appeared in photos at the FCC. Okay, so it is the new one. As you'd hope, they've both been thoroughly dissected, so we can get a closer look at what Nintendo seems to have changed from their original model and what it hasn't. Nintendo claims that battery life is improved in the Switch Lite relative to the original Switch, and hours of additional battery life is also the only really tangible difference between the slightly updated Switch and the original. But Nintendo isn't accomplishing that in either device by using a bigger battery. Instead, it's using a more power-efficient processor, which is exactly what we anticipated.
Yes.
According to the photo seen below, compiled with filings from the FCC, the Switch Lite uses a 13.6 watt-hour battery, which is actually 16% smaller than the 16 watt-hour battery in the regular Switch. That I didn't know.
Yeah.
No, that's the Switch Lite. We knew that. No, we did know that. We did know that the battery was going to be smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This whole Switch revision and Switch Lite thing is very confusing. Interestingly, the battery inside of the revised Switch is unchanged from the original. It uses the same 16 watt-hour battery. That was to be expected.
Yeah.
That's what the boards look like. They don't do a good job of saying what the original one, what the revised one. I'm guessing that's the original and that's the revised. And then that's the Switch Lite. That's definitely the Switch Lite. I have better pictures of what the Switch Lite looks like on the inside.
Yeah.
That I'll show later. One obvious reason why the Switch Lite might have better battery life despite using a smaller battery is that it requires less power to run. The display is smaller and no removable Joy-Con controllers means that the Switch Lite's battery doesn't need to be used to charge them. Nintendo also said that it's using a more power-efficient chip layout that we also talked about. Mm-hmm. Then there's the new, slightly updated full Switch. This is the Switch revision.
Yes.
Everybody get your ears on.
Yes.
There are two ways to get better battery life: by increasing the size of the batteries or making the processor more efficient. Nintendo is clearly doing the latter. We got a good hint of that from the FCC leaks in early July, and Nintendo confirmed that it was using a new CPU just a week later. Now that the FCC has released photos, we can also see that Nintendo is using different boards with each of its Switch models, and they are each named after important figures in Norse mythology. If you look closely at the bottom of the main boards, below where the processor is, and to the left of the USB-C port, you can see the original Switch has Odin spelled out on its board, and a corresponding ODNX01A2 appears on the processor, likely signifying that it's a Tegra 1.
Tegra X1.
Tegra X1. I'm so sorry. Now again, is this the new one or the old one? The original Switch.
The original Switch is Odin, yeah.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
And that's the one that's the Tegra X1.
Yeah.
Something to note is that we still have no idea what the processor is on the new new Switch revision.
We don't?
We don't. I couldn't find it anywhere. I couldn't find like what the hell the actual processor is. Everyone's just speculating that's the Tegra X2.
It's confirmed it's a new processor.
It's confirmed it's different.
Okay. So it might just be a different revision of the X1.
Also true.
Yeah. Because I know
Also
there's
true.
I know Intel makes like 10 different versions of like the i3 and the i5.
So here's how processor manufacturing works. It's very bizarre.
Yeah.
They just make processors. Mm-hmm. They just put them on the line and they just fart them out, and then they test them and see the speeds, and then they just like this one's an i5, this one's an i7.
Yeah.
That's what they. So they don't actually go, let's make 10 i9s today.
Yeah.
They don't do that. They go, these are all i9s, these are all i7s. They can't really like pinpoint the speeds of them. Mm-hmm. So that's how they make processors. So they make a bunch and then they drag the ones that seem to fit into different categories. So every processor is different. It's like a fingerprint.
Yeah.
I don't know why I explained all that, but yes, you're right. This could just be another Tegra X1.
Yeah.
But like slightly different.
Yeah.
Anyway, the new Switch Lite has Valley on it, the name of a son of Odin. Do you know anything about that son? I've never heard of that before in my life. So what does that... I mean, it's not a Marvel person, so I don't know anything about
sure
it.
there's a Marvel character.
I also didn't get that far in God of War.
Vali is a son of the god Odin and the giantess Rinder. Vali has numerous brothers, including Thor, Balder, and I'm not even trying to pronounce that. What is he the god of? Keep talking.
The god of... the Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
So what does that make the revised Switch for 2019? Not Thor, Balder, or Valley, actually. It says Modin on it, which may designate that it's a modified version of the Odin board and the processor. We're going through this tour of Valhalla to make a point. Odin has another son that Nintendo hasn't used yet, Thor. Or Loki.
Loki's technically not his son.
Okay, never mind. I only know the Marvel version.
Right.
Essentially, Nintendo still has room to name its rumored Switch Pro after the hammer wielder. As much as this makes sense, some of this is speculation. We don't know exactly what Nintendo will do with its boards in the future, and the parts that Nintendo is using to aid in battery life are hidden behind thermal paste and heat spreader. But hopefully iFixit and other teardown sites will break them open soon. Speaking of those other teardown sites, this is the filing from the FCC. This is what the inside of the new Switch revision looks like. Okay. It looks basically exactly the same.
Okay.
And this is what the inside of the Switch Lite looks like. Now... part of our concerns were that it was going to look the same.
Yeah.
Remember, we were like, hopefully the current Switch and the Switch Lite look different enough so that it justifies the fact that you can't dock it.
Yeah.
It's looking like it's significantly different.
Okay.
At least the board layout. I mean, the fan's in the same spot, the battery's in the same spot, but the actual board itself... you can see that the chips are in different spots. I mean, clearly it's bigger because the Joy-Cons are attached to the board.
Yeah.
But you can see certain things like this chip right here is in a different spot. Like this little square chip.
Yeah. All right.
It's in a different spot.
I have the same.
So it's definitely a different board.
Okay.
So it's a completely different manufacturing process, which is I think good news.
Yeah.
But again, we don't know if the processor's the same.
Right.
We know that it's different from the original Switch and the revised Switch. We don't know what the hell processor or CPU GPU hybrid is in the Switch Lite.
Yeah.
Spawnwave over here on Twitter. Here's the chip found in the Nintendo Switch with better battery life. And here it is. It says NVIDIA. It says S Taiwan 1837A1. And then a bunch of numbers that I Googled and couldn't find anything.
Okay.
So once again, we don't know what the hell.
But it says, isn't that the same number as the original?
Do you know it by heart? I have no idea.
I
Googled it, nothing came up.
Didn't they? Or they say the number of the new model?
What? Oh,
the original Switch has an Odin spelled out on its board and the corresponding ODNX01-A2.
The original?
The original.
Oh, that's it.
Okay. So it is using a variation of the original processor.
Yes.
Okay.
Look at that.
Yeah.
We figured it out.
We did.
Here on the Wulff Den.
Yeah.
So, it's the same. Well, it's not the same processor, but you're right. It's a variation of the same processor. Mm-hmm. It'll give it better battery life because it has the same battery in it. Also of note that nobody's really talking about, another significant revision on the new revised Switch. The Joy-Con, the left Joy-Con, remember it had some...
connection issues.
Yes. The left Joy-Con would often sometimes... on some Switches, it would often disconnect from the Switch.
Yeah.
they moved the antenna. This is something that Spawnwave did in one of his videos. He moved the antenna so that I guess it wouldn't have connectivity issues. He says on Twitter, Nintendo moved the antenna and the left Joy-Con to the same place I put it 2.5 years ago. That was a really funny surprise when I opened it up. You're welcome, Nintendo. So he's taking all the credit for that.
Okay.
As
he should.
I don't really know where it was or where it moved to, but that's not a significant change. Some people are they want to know if this new revised Switch is going to fix the Joy-Con drift issue.
That's not an antenna issue. That's something with the joystick itself.
Correct. The joystick looks exactly the same. Like the joystick part. That's the part that needs to be changed.
Okay.
And it looks exactly the same. Some people are saying it feels better or whatnot, and no, it's the same part. So no, it's just that your Switch is 2.5 years old, and the new one that you just bought isn't.
Yeah.
Another thing people are saying is that the screen is slightly warmer or brighter.
Okay.
That's something that Jimmy, one of the editors of Austin Evans, he helped on Kevin Kenson's video, and he told me that they thought that the screen was brighter or warmer, and he said that's probably just because it's newer, and the one they were comparing it against was an older one, and I think that's no, actually he said it's probably manufacturing variants. I think it's just that they were comparing it against an older model. So very slight changes. People are kind of grasping at anything to be like, what's different about this thing? AJ says, GameXplain said they were able to replace the connectivity issue, replicate the connectivity issue. So, I mean, they didn't fix that either. It's different, though. The antenna is in a different spot.
Yeah.
So,
but that's not like it's not like they added, HD Rumble 3.0 or whatever or anything like that.
Or any better battery life to the Joy-Cons or anything, or fix the drift issue. Yeah. Anything like that. The only significant differences is the battery life, and they move the antenna.
Yeah.
And that's not even a significant difference. Oh, and the reason the battery life is better is because the processor is different. Some people might say that the Joy-Con feels different. I'd say that it's probably just because it's newer, and the whole thing with the screen being different, I'd say that that's either manufacturing
also
variants
because it's newer,
or because it's newer. So I will not be getting a new Nintendo Switch revision of the Nintendo Switch, because I have a perfectly fine Nintendo Switch. I kind of like having a launch one because I want to see how it degrades over time.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get a Switch Lite.
Yeah.
So why the hell do I need? I've never run out of battery life on my Switch.
Yeah.
I've never been. Well, I have, but I've never been like, oh, it died, I can't play anymore.
Yeah.
That has never happened to me. We were on that flight from Vegas. I played Mario Maker the entire 5 or 6 hour flight.
Yeah.
And it
didn't die. I
die.
played Mortal Kombat 11 almost the entire time.
Yeah.
So
I'm good. I play mostly docked anyway. The Switch Lite that I'm going to get, that's going to be my portable powerhouse.
Right.
So I'm good.